Over the decades, the WWE Universe has witnessed heroes rise, dominate, and then suddenly vanish. Some left due to injury, others were pushed out by creative politics, and a few, they just couldn't take it anymore. Today, we're uncovering the truth behind 10 of the most shocking WWE departures ever, starting with the giants, rebels, and icons whose exits left fans stunned. So hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the untold stories behind the walkouts that changed wrestling forever. 1. The Great Khali, the giant who vanished. When the Great Khali stormed into WWE in 2006, he was like nothing the world had ever seen. Towering at over 7 feet tall, Khali was marketed as an unstoppable monster, the kind of presence that could silence an entire arena with one step. But behind the scenes, Khali was battling something no one could see: exhaustion, pain, and a system that didn't know how to handle him. His knees were failing, his breathing was labored, and years of physical strain had taken their toll. WWE's medical team knew he couldn't last long, but the company needed a spectacle, and Khali was that spectacle. Matches became shorter, slower, and more painful to watch. Then one day in 2014, he was gone. There was no farewell, no final goodbye, just silence. Khali returned to India to focus on his health and open his own wrestling school, producing a new generation of talent. Fans still wonder, what if WWE had managed him better? Would the Great Khali have become the true giant of his era? 2. Rey Mysterio, the masked hero who needed to breathe. Rey Mysterio was the ultimate underdog, the man who made fans believe that size didn't matter. He soared through the air, defied gravity, and became one of the most beloved wrestlers in history. But by 2014, that same high-flying style had destroyed his body. Years of punishment from bigger opponents left him battling knee injuries that refused to heal. Still, WWE wanted him in the ring, week after week, show after show. Behind the scenes, Rey was exhausted. He needed time to recover, but creative had other plans. After a bitter contract dispute and feeling creatively sidelined, Rey quietly walked away. He returned to the independent scene, finding freedom again away from WWE's schedule. Years later, his comeback was emotional, this time not just as a wrestler, but as a father, standing beside Dominic. Rey Mysterio didn't just walk away from WWE. He stepped out to rediscover who he was without the mask of corporate control. 3. Stone Cold Steve Austin, when the Rattlesnake went silent. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the heartbeat of the Attitude Era. Beer in hand, middle finger raised, the man who defied authority and defined an entire generation. But behind that larger-than-life persona was a man breaking down physically and emotionally. In 2002, Austin abruptly walked out of WWE, refusing to lose a random match to Brock Lesnar on free TV. It wasn't about ego, it was about legacy. Austin believed that kind of booking would kill his character's momentum. But the truth went deeper. Years of neck problems from the Owen Hart piledriver haunted him. The pain was constant, and he knew another bad bump could end his career or his life. When he finally left after WrestleMania 19, the world didn't realize they had just witnessed his last match. Stone Cold left quietly, knowing his body couldn't handle another war. But to this day, fans wonder, what if he had stayed one more year? Could there have been one last run, one last rebellion? 4. Brock Lesnar, the beast who wanted out. In 2004, Brock Lesnar was on top of the world, a 2-time WWE champion, the youngest ever to hold the title, and a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. But behind the dominance, Brock was miserable. He hated the travel, the fame, the cameras, everything except the fight itself. The endless road schedule drained him mentally. He wanted a normal life, one where he didn't wake up in a hotel room every morning. So at WrestleMania 20, Brock Lesnar shocked the world. His match with Goldberg was supposed to be a dream bout, but fans booed both men already aware they were leaving. Brock's departure was messy, ending with a lawsuit after WWE tried to stop him from wrestling elsewhere. But walking away changed his life. He found peace in UFC, rediscovered his hunger, and when he finally returned in 2012, he was bigger, meaner, and more unstoppable than ever. Brock Lesnar didn't just leave WWE, he left to remind the world he never needed it. 5. The Undertaker, the dead man finally rests. For nearly 30 decades, The Undertaker was WWE's greatest creation, the perfect mix of mystique, loyalty, and dominance. But beneath the black hat was a man carrying a lifetime of pain. Every entrance, every match, every WrestleMania moment came with a price. His knees were gone, his hips replaced, his body stitched together after decades of destruction. But The Undertaker refused to stop, because in his mind, stopping meant dying. It wasn't until the cinematic match with AJ Styles in 2020 that he finally felt peace. It was the perfect send-off, poetic, emotional, and fitting for the dead man. When he said, "My time has come," the world finally understood. The Undertaker didn't just walk away from WWE, he walked into legend. 6. CM Punk, the voice who walked out. CM Punk was everything WWE didn't want. Outspoken, rebellious, and unafraid to call out the system, but that same fire made him one of the most beloved stars of his time. By 2014, Punk's frustration had reached its limit. He was burned out, injured, and tired of being overlooked for part-timers. So one night, he simply walked out. No goodbye, no announcement. He was gone. WWE tried to bury his name, but his legacy only grew. For years, fans chanted CM Punk at every show, a symbol of rebellion that WWE couldn't erase. When he returned years later in AEW, it was more than a comeback. It was a message. You can't silence the voice of the voiceless. 7. Jeff Hardy, the artist who fell and rose again. Jeff Hardy was chaos and beauty rolled into one. From Daredevil ladder matches to world title glory, he risked everything for his art. But his greatest battle wasn't in the ring. It was within himself. Addiction, suspensions, and burnout forced Jeff out of WWE multiple times. Each return felt like redemption, each exit like tragedy. In 2021, after refusing to go to rehab, WWE released him again. But Jeff didn't stop. He found solace in AEW, still chasing that creative freedom WWE never gave him. Jeff Hardy's story isn't just about departure, it's about surviving your own demons. 8. Batista, the animal who outgrew the cage. Batista was built for destruction, but he was also smart enough to know when the system was holding him back. By 2010, he was frustrated with WWE's PG direction. The animal felt caged in a company that no longer valued his edge. He walked away, not because he failed, but because he wanted more. Hollywood called, and just like The Rock, Batista answered. When he returned in 2014, it was short-lived, but it gave him closure. He didn't leave WWE bitter, he left to evolve. 9. Kurt Angle, the gold medalist who couldn't stop. Kurt Angle was a machine, an Olympic hero turned wrestling legend, but years of competing left him with a broken neck, painkiller addiction, and a body screaming for rest. WWE wanted him to take time off. Kurt wanted to keep going. That conflict ended with his 2006 release. He went to TNA, where he rediscovered his passion, and years later, when he came home to WWE, it felt like the perfect full circle. Kurt Angle didn't walk away in disgrace, he walked away to heal. 10. Edge, the warrior who refused to quit. Edge was at the top of the mountain when doctors told him his career was over. A severe neck injury in 2011 forced him into early retirement, a shocking moment that left fans in tears. For 9 long years, Edge stayed away, believing he'd never wrestle again. But deep down, that fire never died. Then, in 2020, he returned, stronger, grittier, and more emotional than ever. Edge's departure wasn't the end. It was the beginning of one of the greatest comeback stories in wrestling history.
And that's just the beginning. From betrayal and heartbreak to pure burnout, the stories only get darker from here. If you enjoyed this deep dive into WWE's biggest exits, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and tell us in the comments, which WWE departure shocked you the most? Because the next story might just be about your favorite superstar.